talking about the elements that you learned in high school. Can't be afraid of change.
Mhm.
And the best example of that is the recent downturn in 2008, how you almost had to reinvent your company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and part of my team, for instance, we have very talented designers who are not trained or suited for engineering type work, but are very capable, very intelligent, and are flexible enough to want to keep contributing, want to find a way through, help the firm get over this hump and kind of, as you mentioned, recreate yourselves. So yeah, that happens. It happens in it's amazing how closely football mirrors real life and how many lessons you can learn there. Because as an example, I have to be able to roll up my sleeves and get things done. Set a good example that I'm willing to get mud on my feet if I have to get into a foundation hole and pull wire through a conduit or make sure that we have reinforcing steel and a footing. We all do that now, and the whole staff does that. And I think we become better designers and we become better people as a result of that. I think we're flexible. We're still and we get better as a result. We actually become better designers because we have to do things that we're not used to. We're out of our element.
There's certain head coaches that come in with their system, and that's the system they're going to run. And I think, in particular, at the college level, you have like a Rich Rodriguez or a John L. Smith or coaches like that kind of give themselves a mulligan for a year or two because they don't have their kids in their system.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Fracassa was the opposite.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
When we were sophomores, we ran a Power I. When we were juniors, we ran a Pro Set. And when we were seniors, he changed it completely again, and we ran the Wishbone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to your point, about putting your players in a position where you can maximize their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So for 2 years on varsity, you played tight end. Your senior year, he moved you to tackle because it was the best thing for that team and the system that he put in place to maximize the strengths of the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
I was a halfback for 2 years, and he moved me to 170-pound fullback.
I remember, yeah, and I remember you were in a 4-point stance at one time. I think we talked him out of that, but yet at one point he wanted that fullback on the bone to be in a 4-point stance. So, yeah, it was remarkable, and what was great is that example that we all knew that he was doing what was best for all of us. I mean, it was never a question about what the result was going to be, because we were all in. We were all backing whatever came down from there, because we saw what he had done with the talent before he had modified his view of it to be successful. He put us in the position to be successful, and it was
that's really a lesson that I applied in my business life, and it's a lesson that you have clearly applied in your business life.
Yes, I like to think I do. It's almost like nothing was as hard as football. It's really funny, like when it's 4th and 1 on the 1 yard line. What happens there? That's pressure. That to me, I know what pressure is. I know what it feels like when you can't hear the signal caller and there's people waiting to kill you, and it just nothing seems to add up to that. I mean, I'm not afraid of anything.
You know what it's like having a minute left in the game and down to Catholic Central 6-0 and intercepting a pass. That's what he did his freshman year.
Yeah, I was a lucky man. I was in
tied the game in the last minute of the game with a defensive interception.
That's
by a
right.
defensive end.
Yeah, I remember that. And then I think I did something. I celebrated at the end, and we got a penalty, and I almost lost the game too right afterward.
Yeah.
And that's all Coach Fracassa wanted to talk about when I came back was my behavior after the touchdown. He sat me down and said, "That's not acceptable." I remember that. Yeah.
You can learn as much from relative failures as you can from success. And
That's so true.
When you look at the turnaround that took place on last year's team,
Yeah.
the lessons that they will take with them the rest of their life of never quitting, never giving up. Every play is meaningful because it's a difference between ending a season 4-5 and out of the playoffs, or ending it 5-4 with a chance for a state championship, and then running the table.
Mm-hmm. It was remarkable. It was really something, and that just shows what kind of power, what kind of staying power Coach has, because everybody around them had given up on him. They were, there were a lot of people chirping about, what was done wrong and what they should have done and what could have been. A lot of Monday morning quarterbacking going on. Everybody second guessing, and those guys just kind of circled the wagons, and almost like when you and I were juniors. And they just decided that was it. They weren't going to lose any more games, and they were going to do everything right. And the program and the game plan was set, and they had confidence in Coach and his staff, and they did it. And it was like the perfect storm. It was like, as a father, that's what I want my kid to go through. I wouldn't want my kid to go through adversity like that and then rise above it and succeed. And that's what they did. It was miraculous. It was a wonderful thing to observe.
And probably us going through the seasons we did our sophomore and junior years,
Mm-hmm.
I think steeled our will to be able to run the table our senior year.
That's absolutely. I remember being on those two teams prior to our senior year, and they were both very talented teams, and because of us losing focus of what was really important, we lost games that we should have won. We had probably teams that were as good or better than the team that we played on when we were seniors. But our senior year was something special because we had resolved to that, to be above and beyond. The discipline was fantastic. I mean, every single guy in that team was in, and there wasn't one person that wasn't a part of that success all the way through. Whether they were on and Coach will see those guys after many years, and they come to practice, and he remembers every one of them somehow. I don't know how he does it, but every single guy that sees him feels like he was one of those star athletes that were on that team. He makes everybody feel really special, even while they're playing. But years and years later, he'll recall things about what his hobby was, whether he was still singing or playing the guitar or
He was tough on us, and also a tough coach in his early coaching years.
Mm-hmm.
But you always knew he cared for you,
Yeah.
whether you were a starter or the last person on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were at our 20th reunion, we met him at a restaurant after the game, and he said, we talked to him, and he said, well, what about this year's team? And he told us, he says, I can't do the things I did when you guys were playing for me because they're emotionally fragile kids. They'll start crying.
Yeah.
So
he knows. He tailors his. Yeah, you're right. He tailors his coach. He coaches each player differently. Like, he'll be very tough on one kid, and we'll all try to figure out, like, why is he being so nice to him after,
Yeah. No,
the transgressions were not equal.
It's interesting. Our memories are of this Vince Lombardi-like coach
Yeah.
that was very tough, but we knew if we followed his way, we would be successful.
Yeah.
To now, this grandfatherly sage
Yeah.
that almost talks in whispered tones.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, exactly. It was booming. We could hear him yelling when we were in the locker room when we were late or whatever. Now, and this is so true, Ted, because right now when he talks, there's, some of the time, sometimes there's 85 kids on that roster. You can hear a pin drop. You can hear, and his voice is low and quiet and direct, and you can hear him breathing. It's so quiet. And when I coach, I have to yell 3 or 4 times to, hey, hold it down. I'm trying to talk. Pay attention. Look up. Look at me. I obviously don't command that same kind of respect that he does, but it is just it's wonderful to see, because the boys get it. They all really get it. They know this is really a special thing that's going on right now, and every year that he's here and every moment they're with him is very special. And I think this last year's team gets it, and I know the boys that come up, and it's one of the first things I try to teach the kids when they come in, is this is a remarkable thing going on right now, and you're going to be part of something that may never happen again. It's very special.